according. Solve sin x equals 0.8. 0.8 الساين دي بوزيتيف تبقى بوزيتيف، تبقى معناها في الفيرست كوادرانت اور سكند كوادرانت ساين. لو كان فيرست كوادرانت اهو شيفت ساين ل 0.8 which is كام اهو هنا معموله، يعني اقول له شيفت ساين ال 0.8 طلع 53 degrees. دي لو كان في الفيرست يبقى 53، لو في السكند يبقى 180 minus 53 which is 127. اوكي. طيب واحده كمان زي دي بيقول لنا tan x equals negative 1.9، يبقى نقول له نمبر بي shift tan of the angle، يعني find the inverse of the function of this angle according to tan، يعني shift tan لنيجاتيف 1.9 طلع بكام؟ شيفت tan اهو محلوله 62. اوكي. طيب التان بالنيجاتيف in the second quadrant and in the fourth quadrant، يبقى in the second quadrant الانجل طلعت في الفيرست بكام هنا؟ لو عملناها شيفت تان لل 1.9 بوزيتيف 1.9 طلعت 62، دي في الفيرست كوادرنت. يبقى في السكند 180 minus 62، وفي الفورث 360 minus 62. Another example. example زي ده. شوف نمبر 2. نمبر 2 كوزين اكس ايكوالز هاف، دي معناها في الفيرست اند فورث الكوزين استيك لو تفتكروا all functions are positive. sin is positive في السكند، والتان positive في الثيرد، والكوزين positive في الفورث. لكن بنقول استيك، يبقى دي معناها الكوزين positive في الفيرست كوادرنت and fourth quadrant. هقول كوزين باور اوف نيجاتيف 1 اوف هاف تطلع ب 60، لان كوزين 60 بهاف، يعني كوزين باور اوف نيجاتيف 1 اوف هاف اللي هي شيفت الكالكوليتور، يعني كوزين اوف هاف تطلع ب 60، يبقى ان ذا فيرست كوادرانت طلعت الانجل ب 6 degrees. طب ان ذا فورث يبقى 360 minus 60 which is 300 degrees. اوكي. شوف نمبر بي برضو tan is negative، يبقى tan x equals root 3 over دي اللي هي negative 1 over root 3، يا اما negative root 3 over 3 the same. طبعا دي تبقى فين؟ التان negative is in the second quadrant or in the fourth quadrant. The inverse of negative inverse tan of negative 1 over root 3 or negative root 3 over 3 is shift tan of this number which is 30. 30 is in the first quadrant, but we need the angle in the second quadrant and in the fourth quadrant. So it will be 180 minus 30, which is 150, and 360 minus 30, which is 330. So this value, if you put this value or this value instead of x, or if you replace tan 150, you will get this a result, and the tan 330 you will get the same result. I'll give you more harder examples. Okay, شوف كده. شوف نمبر 1 بيقول sin theta أو sin theta equals root 3 over 2. Sin is positive, so sin is positive. So this angle must be in the first or in the second. هنقول shift sin root 3 over 2 which is sine power of -1 of root 3 over 2 equals
60, Mr.
60. So 60 will be in the first, and we need it in the first. So the first solution is 60 degrees, and the second solution will be 180 minus 60, which is 120. يبقى السوليوشن ست هنكتبها كده في braces، يبقى 60 and 120، أو نقول x equals or x. Okay. Number 2, cosine is root 3 over 2. Then the angle 30. Cosine is in the first quadrant is positive, or in the fourth quadrant is positive. Shift cosine of root 3 over 2 equal 30. Check in the computer, in the calculator, please. Shift cosine of root 3 over 2 equals 30 degrees. Is it?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So in the first will be 30, and in the fourth will be 360 minus 30, it will be 330. Then the solutions will be 30 degrees and 330 degrees. Okay? Cosine theta equals 0. Cosine theta equals 0, we need the unit circle.
90.
90, okay. This is 1 and 0, the unit circle. 0 and 1, -1 and 0, 0 and -1. This is cosine, and this is sine. Okay? Again, this is cosine, and this is sine. Sorry. Y is sine. وX is cosine. ساين، دي ساين ودي كوزاين. Okay. So 0, 90, 180, 270. We need any value of cosine which is x equals 0, x equals 0 in this part and in this part. So it will be 90 and 270. So x equals, or theta will be 90 degrees, or theta equals 270 degrees. Okay. تاني ليه دي بالساين والكوزاين؟ بص كده. This is the unit circle. Unit circle. Unit circle. And this is a point in the circle. And if we join this point by the origin, you will get x and y, and this is 1, and this is theta. Then sine is y over 1, and cosine is x over 1. If sine is y, while cosine is x, with tan is y over x. The sine over cosine. So the sine, we need the cosine equals 0. Then we need cosine اللي هو مين؟ قلنا مش دي x and y. يبقى ده cosine وده sine. ال y is sine. يعني you need the x coordinate is 0. So x coordinate is 0 at the angle equals 90, or the angle equals 270, and these are the solutions of this one. Okay. Number 4, cosine equals negative. Cosine negative is in the second quadrant and in the third quadrant. And shift cosine of half, نعمل shift cosine of half, not negative half, of half, will be 30 degrees. Okay, cosine 60 degrees. 60 degrees. Okay, shift cosine of 0.5. Okay, it will be 6 degrees. 6 degrees if the angle is in the first quadrant, but cosine is negative, so the angle will be in the second quadrant and in the third quadrant. In the second quadrant, the angle, you calculate the angle as 180 minus its value in the first quadrant, which is 60. So it will be 180 minus 60 equal 120, and this is the first solution. The second solution, this angle also negative, and the cosine is negative in the third quadrant, and in the first quadrant it was 60, so in the third quadrant will be 180 plus 60, which is 240. So the solution set, or the values of the angle which satisfy this trigonometric functions, is one of them is 120 and the other is 240 degrees. It's okay? Have you got it?
Yes, Mister.
Here, another one. Okay, I'll give you a chance to solve some of these exercises. Okay, I'll give you a chance to solve number 5, 6, and 7, and I'll give you 3 minutes to solve them. Okay? Cosine theta equals half in the first quadrant, and in which quadrant تاني؟ First
الفورث.
and fourth. Cosine theta equals half، يبقى theta equals كام؟
60.
6. يبقى دي 6 degrees in the first, and in the fourth will be 360 minus 60 will be 300. What about number 7? This one will be negative. It will be in the third quadrant and in the fourth quadrant. And shift sign of this angle is 45. So it will be 180 plus 45, which is 225. And this is 360 minus 45 is 315. Then the solution set will be 225 and 315.
مستر هو الانسر طلعت لي نيجاتيف 45.
ما نيجاتيف 45 you didn't use ده، انت مش عايز تشتغل كالكوليتور الا في شيفت كوزاين في الرولز. اوكي،
ما انا عامله شيفت كوزاين طلع لي نيجاتيف 45.
if you add 360 to it you will get 315. اوكي
اوكي بتشينج الساينز في اللي جوه.
بس ما تعملش شيفت ساين للنيجاتيف، لا شيفت ساين of the positive value of this one. You will get 45 and distribute 45 according to the quadrant which the angle lies on it. The third one, which is the last one, it will be sine theta equals negative 4. It will be 4 minus 7 over 2 equals half.
Equal half.
Okay, so sine theta 1 minute.
30.
Okay. حد محتاج دي يعمل سكرين شوت ولا حاجه؟ اوكي راحت فين؟ يبقى ساين ثيتا equals half. يبقى it will be positive in the first quadrant and in the second quadrant. In the first quadrant will be 30 degrees. In the second
150
minus 100 minus 30, which is 150. So the solution set of this equation is 30 degrees and 150 degrees. It's okay? Number 8, 9, and 10 is homework. Okay? 8, 9, and 10.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, see you later, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.